Hi, this is April from the Yoga Ranger Studio, and today's practice is about yin for the front side of the body. There are a lot of meridians that run up the front side, and actually this is a great practice to take a look at when you're feeling a little bit blue, or maybe starting to get a cold, or feeling a little bit of congestion, as well as this is a bit of a heart opener too, because we're doing a few more back bends and folds in that direction. So a couple of things you might need: a cat, if you have one. I suggest a blanket put on the very bottom just for the comfort of your knees and your feet when you're laying in certain poses. A rolled up blanket, or you could have a beach towel fold up or rolled up. Two of those if you have them. If you don't, then two pillows off your furniture would work just as well. Two square pillows work just as well. So we're going to start with sort of a chest opener here. This is sort of a supported fish with it right down the back. So you're going to roll up your blanket or towel, or put your pillows down the middle, and go ahead and you're going to sit right up against it and then sit back so that your head is still on it, but your bum is on the floor. So here you can take a bunch of different options. You can take the bottoms of the feet together for more opening in the inside of the legs, or you could keep your feet out straight or knees bent. So a little bit more chest opening would be to take the arms out to the side, palms facing up, and start to take some nice deep breaths here. This is a great time to take a moment to settle into the space, to your mat, commitment to your practice today, practicing yin. Taking some time to refocus your mind and body. Maybe deepening your breath. Allowing that breath to expand out to the side. In this position, your chest is lifted, so you have lots of space in your lungs to fill out. Yin is often a practice of letting go, turning inward, finding a softer, quieter space. And if you have the bottoms of your feet together, go ahead and take your knees back together, straighten out those legs. Take about 2 deep breaths here. And then bend those knees, bring the bottoms of the feet flat to the floor. Very gently, being aware that the floor is much further away than you think it is. Roll to your right side. Take a nice deep breath here. And then go ahead and come on to hands and knees. So you can take this blanket out of the way for now. This cat out of the way for now. We're going to come into child's pose. So take your knees fairly wide apart, but think sustainable. So if they're too far apart and this is painful already, you've gone a little bit too far. Okay? Go ahead, walk your hands forward, keeping your hips as much as you can on the floor. So if this is not comfortable for you for your knees, you can take the blanket and tuck it behind the knee joint on both sides, and it will give you a little bit more space. Walk yourself about halfway down, and then you're going to take that right arm, tuck it underneath. Keep that left hand out in front of you. Or you can tuck it around behind you and roll that shoulder back. This is the moment that your home studio becomes interesting because your cat is invasive. But it's also good to have distractions sometimes, especially in your practice, so when you learn to settle in regardless of the distraction, regardless of the noises around you or what's going on, learning to focus. Allowing that right shoulder to just drift a little closer to the floor. Maybe if you find your hand tucked behind your back is no longer comfortable, you can walk that hand way out over your head. Go ahead on your inhale and bring that left hand back in. Press yourself all the way up to the center. Walk your hands straight out in front of you, and you can stack your palms on top of each other and rest your forehead, just for a normal child's pose here. And inhale, lift back up. I'm going to go ahead and shift, turn that right arm underneath, palm facing up. Once again, here, choices. You can take that right arm around behind you, or if this doesn't feel good at all on this side, or you have some sort of shoulder issue, you can always take that hand out in front or way out in front for a deeper stretch. On your next inhale, start to walk that right hand back in. Come back to center. Once again, start to fold yourself all the way down into your regular child's pose here, resting your forehead. If it feels better to have your knees closer together, you can always bring those closer together and rest your head. Go ahead and rock up onto all fours. So you're going to take your feet out a little bit behind you. You can flip your toes or you can keep them flat. Keep your knees and your hips in alignment here. You're going to walk your hands and come forward a little bit, dropping your belly down. So if this is where you feel comfortable and you start to feel sensation, you can stay here, or you can walk those hands out a little bit further. Drop the forehead or chin or chest down to the floor. Remember, often in these poses, if you feel some resistance, it may not be the pose itself. It may be a lot of things being sort of moved out of the connective tissue. Emotions are often stored there. Gently start to lift up. Very slowly walk your hands back in. Maybe take some cat-cow here. So inhaling, dropping the belly down. Exhale, arching and rounding. Coming back to center, sit back for just a moment. Take a few breaths just to settle in and allow that transition to happen. I'm going to give you a couple of options for our next pose, which is half saddle. So half saddle, we're taking sort of a hero pose type version, except with one leg out and one leg bent. I like to take a couple of blankets underneath, or if you have a bolster handy, or the pillows, you can use any of those. But I like them just because it doesn't go as far and it's not quite as much. But I'm going to set you up to show you kind of where we're going to go here. So we're going to take that right leg back, left leg out straight. You're going to sit down on the floor. Take your thumb and you're going to kind of roll that calf muscle out of the way. Your knee is probably going to come out a little wider than you're comfortable with in a normal hero pose, but that's okay too. You can come down to here and you can stay here. And this is a lot of stretch for a lot of people on the front of the thigh. If you want to come down further, you can come down under the forearms and at least the blankets sort of support your lower back. If you're comfortable coming all the way down to the floor without the blankets or with them, you can come all the way down. We're going to be here for about 2 minutes, so find the sustainable position for you. Once again, you can take those arms out to the side, palms up, or I like to take my right hand and just sort of give my right foot a little massage. So the bottom of your feet have a lot of acupressure points. And sometimes it's nice just to give a little bit of a massage. If you're looking for more stretch on the side body and the arms, you can always take the arms up overhead and grab opposite elbows for this last 30 seconds or so. So go ahead and release those arms if they're up overhead. Take your elbows and forearms and sort of press into the floor. Engage your belly a little bit. Roll over to your left side and come all the way up. You're going to take that right leg out in front of you. Maybe give a little rub down here. Wiggle your toes. And then we'll switch sides. Take that left leg back behind you. Once again, take your thumb. You're going to roll, instead of rolling out, you're going to roll down and away from the knee. Find your place here. Remember, one leg is always different than the other. So if you come to here and you think, wow, that's a lot more on this side than that side, that is completely normal. And sometimes, some days it will feel like that. If you want to come down lower, and remember, you can always come out if you came too low. You thought, wow, maybe I don't want to do that. You can come all the way down either to the floor or to your blankets once again. Give your left foot a little bit of massage here. So if your knees start to drift up just a little bit when you first come into this pose, sort of energetically think of that knee feeling heavier and heavier. You're not going to push it down to the floor, but over time it's going to stretch the top of the thigh, and if you just sort of energetically think of it as floating to the floor, it will get there. It may be that your knee is further out to the side, and that's okay too. Oftentimes in a pose like this, where you have a lot of tension built up in the front of the leg, there will be a sudden release. It will happen anytime. For some people who've been practicing yin longer, it happens much more quickly, the beginning of the countdown. For some people, it takes toward the very end. Just know that it will release. And once again, if you want to take those hands up overhead, you're going to grab the elbows the opposite way you did last time. Last 30 seconds here. Gently taking those hands alongside. You're going to take those elbows down to the floor, press up, lean a little bit over to your right and release that left leg out. Come all the way up. Give both your legs a little massage here. And maybe take a downward facing dog just to find a little opening here. Go ahead and come all the way down onto your belly for Sphinx pose. So relax your lower body, take your palms flat, elbows underneath the shoulders. You're going to inhale, pull forward like you normally do in Sphinx without any leg engagement. And then drop the chest in between the shoulder blades. So if you have any discomfort in your shoulders or any in your lower back, you can lift your belly button up a little bit and press through the elbows to get a little more lift. Otherwise, slump and pull, lifting the heart through the space in between. Keeping those shoulders away from the ears as much as possible. Go ahead and relax. Cross your hands in front of you. Rest your forehead on the back of your hands for about 3 deep breaths here. And then gently roll onto your right side. So a couple of choices for cat pulling its tail is you can rest your head on your arm, or you can take that arm out, palm facing up, which is the way I like to do it. You're going to take that left leg out in front of you, right leg back behind you, shift that knee back, and if you can, go ahead and grab onto that foot. So if you can't reach the foot, that's okay too. Just reach for it. And you want to take that foot down toward the floor and maybe go ahead and twist back. So drop that left shoulder back. Each breath, you can allow that shoulder to drift further back, or you can start to pull that right leg back a little bit further. Always being mindful of your knee and how it feels. And gently release that leg. Go ahead and roll all the way over onto your back. Take your arms out to the side, heels wide for sort of a starfish pose. 5 deep breaths here. And then to our other side. So roll over to the left, either cradle your head on your arm or take that left arm out straight. Roll onto your side. You're going to shift that left leg back a little bit. Reach for those toes, right leg out in front. You can drop that right shoulder back behind you, or you could keep it up higher if that feels comfortable for you. Being cognizant that both sides are completely different, so they may react differently to this pose. Trying to keep that foot a little closer to the floor so it's in line with the knee. So in this practice, we're going to touch on every single meridian line. That would include liver and gallbladder, heart, lungs, small and large intestine, kidney and bladder meridians, and spleen and stomach. It's sort of a rounded practice, even though we're focusing on the front side of the body and opening it up. Very gently start to release that foot down. Very slowly come back to your starfish pose, heels out, arms out to the side. 5 deep breaths here. Noticing difference between left and right, how your body feels. So our next pose will be banana pose. So you're going to take your left heel over to the left, walk your right heel right next to it. You can keep them in this position, or you can cross that ankle over the opposite. Start to move the upper body over toward the left as well. So we're going to keep both hips firmly on the floor. You can stay here, or you can take the arms up overhead. Grab hold of that right wrist with that left hand, and just gently put a little bit of leverage in there. So you're going to kind of just let the weight of the left hand pull the right. You can tilt your head by lifting it up and then turning it toward the right, or look straight up. Very gently release that wrist. Turn your head back to center. Take the hands alongside the hips. You're going to move your upper body back straight down. Unhook that ankle. Move the legs out to the side. Back to your starfish. 5 deep breaths. Recognizing the difference between left and right now, the outside, lateral side of the body. Banana pose is one of those poses that feels really easy to get into, but can be very bit of a struggle to come out of, simply because it's not a position laterally reaching that you find yourself doing throughout the day. So this outside edge of the body tends to be a little bit more stuck. After doing banana pose, you often feel a great deal more mobility in the side body. You might even find yourself walking slightly differently. Okay, other side. Walk that right foot over to the right, left foot right next to it, or cross the ankle. Keep both hips level on the floor. Start to inch the upper body over to the right as well. Stay here or take those arms up overhead. Grab hold of that left wrist with that right hand and pull a little bit. Sometimes this pose allows my back to snap back into place, which feels really good. Otherwise, it's a great pose for opening the chest, the side body, more lung capacity, more breath. Very slowly release that wrist and take those hands back alongside the body. Line your head back up to look up at the ceiling and start to move the upper body back into the middle space here. Untuck that ankle, legs out to the side. 5 deep breaths here. And then go ahead and roll over onto your belly for just a 1-minute hold in seal pose. So thumbs turned straight out in front, palms out in front of you. Rest your lower body and lift up. Just 5 breaths here. Allowing the shoulder blades to drop down for our last deep breath here. And then lowering those elbows down, going ahead and rolling back onto your back again here. For a twist. So arms out to the side, palms up. I think a twist at every practice is useful, especially at the end. You're going to cross that right leg over that left. You're going to lift your hips up, shift them over to the right, drop those knees over to the left, walk that left foot back behind you. You can turn and look over your right fingertips or straight up. On inhale, turn your head back to center. Engage your core and come all the way back to the middle. Shift your hips straight down the center and drop those feet flat for just a couple of breaths. And then wrap that left leg over that right. Pick your hips up, shift them over to the left. Drop your knees over to the right. Walk that right leg back underneath you. You can turn and look over your opposite shoulder or look straight up. Inhale, look back to center, engage your core, bring those knees back up through the middle. Unwind that leg, take a couple of breaths here just with your knees bent. And then for Shavasana, you can take your heels out to the corners of the mat, or you can keep your knees bent and walk your feet a little bit wider and just drop those knees together. Palms can come to your belly. Tuck the shoulder blades underneath. Close your eyes and take some nice deep breaths here, settling in. If you have the time or would like to, you can always take a longer Shavasana here. But if you are headed somewhere else, or this is the length of time that you have set aside, go ahead and begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes, deepening your breath, and either bending the knees, walking the feet closer together. On your next deep inhale, you're going to inhale, take those arms up overhead, stretch through your spine as long, as tall as you can, and exhale, gently roll over to your right side, taking a breath or two here. And then very slowly and gently pressing yourself up into whatever seated position you like best. Take your hands palms up or palms down onto your knees. You can keep your eyes closed or open. Take a few moments to recognize that this is your time for yourself, and be grateful and thankful that you've taken these moments. Take care of your body and mind. On your next exhale, drop the fingertips down to the floor. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way up overhead. Open your eyes, look up at your palms. Exhale, hands to heart. Peace and namaste. I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with me today with your practice. I know that your time is very precious, and I appreciate that you have taken these moments to spend with me here on YouTube. Please feel free to check out my other YouTube videos. My focus tends to be more on yin, but there are some yang videos on there as well. And feel free to email me or reach out if you have specific requests as well. I am open to ideas. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.